Through the sense you're making of the kind of activity we're seeing on the markets right now, where the market is steadily continuing on its upward trend.
The market is actually going through an interesting period because for the first time in a long time, we're actually seeing that the results that being announced by various companies, for example, Co-Operative Bank, KCB, actually having an effect on the share price of the market. A good example is National Bank. I mean, by the fact that they did announce a dividend issuing out a dividend, apart from giving out profit margins, actually did see the share going up, which is a clear indication that the market is actually maturing to a point whereby fundamental issues, positive aspects about a company's growth will actually start determining how the share price goes up and not just mere rhetoric or human sentiment.
Well, we unpacked the numbers out of National Bank of Kenya quite in depth yesterday, and the market clearly liking what came out there. But let's take a look now at Co-Operative Bank. I mean, it shed 1% by the close yesterday, despite also posting a 25% rise in net earnings. I mean, what did you make of the numbers there, where there was an 11% increase in pre-tax profit for 2009?
The Co-Operative Bank numbers are pretty interesting because, one, the bank is actually pegging its growth on expansion. I think from what we saw, that the fifth profitable bank in the country right now after Barclays, Standard, KCB and Equity. And I think it's taken cue by following these other banks in terms of expansion, especially KCB and Equity. And I think the fact that they did drop a point at the market yesterday reflects how the market is actually viewing in terms of fundamentals. Because when you look at National Bank vis-a-vis Co-Operative Bank, National Bank had a value added point that whereby the shareholders had. And I think the aspect of the dividend did actually, please the investors, and that's why the price went up in terms of, reducing the supply and increasing the demand. But for cooperative, I think just announcing profits alone or, improved bottom line, I think lacks in terms of more value to the shareholders and to the speculators in the market.
Like you say, though, extreme emphasis being placed on their outlook. We know that the bank has quite a solid base at home on Kenyan territory. What are you thinking about its regional plans? Because if we look at operations in southern Sudan, it's coming in at a 70-30 joint venture with the government there, and it's working on similar initiatives in Uganda and Tanzania as well. So their strategy is really JV operations.
The strategy in terms of partnership between the Co-Operative Bank and the government is actually one of its 3-point ways of going forward, because when you look at its homegrown solutions in how it's been doing its business, it has a very strong base in the cooperative movement. And you've seen how the cooperative movement in Africa and especially emerging markets, whereby we've been able to plow money from the ordinary person, from the bottom of the pyramid, into very impressive investment schemes. And I think if the Cooperative Bank uses a similar platform to enhance cooperative movement across the East African region, in Southern Sudan, in Uganda, in Rwanda, I think it will have a key point to beacon in terms of being ahead of other banks like Kenya Commercial Bank or Equity. Because being able to bring in the ordinary people the way Equity Bank has, Cooperative Bank will only be able to sustain its expansion growth in the region through the cooperative movement.
Just very quickly before we wrap up here, I mean, we've got Athi River Cement being expected to release results today. It was up 1% to 106 shillings by the close of yesterday. What are the broad expectations with regards to numbers today?
The overall bottom line, I think, for Athi River will be positive. However, in terms of profit growth, I think there should be a reduction because the production cost for the last 2 quarters have been high in terms of electricity, in terms of taxes, in terms of employee issues, and basically everyone has been trying to re-strategize and come up with new marketing schemes, new marketing strategies on how to expand the businesses around the region. So I think the overall bottom line might be better, but until we see the numbers, it will be hard to tell because the finance sector has really shocked all of us analysts in terms of how the numbers are coming out. So until we have the numbers, to have an exact sentiment on Athi River will be suicidal.